What if you're just a couple most of the time, but occasionally you have some guests? Or you just really want a private enclosed bedroom, but you still want a nice big living area? Those kind of situations actually both are satisfied very well in this floor plan right here. This is something that comes in generally half-ton towable. It really depends on the half-ton in question, but it gives you a large, comfortable living room, a pretty decent, generous kitchen, huge middle bathroom that provides maximum privacy up to the bedroom. Now there's a lot of other campers that do that. So what kind of separates this Go Play right here? Well, things like a little bit taller ceiling, a more powerful air conditioner, some battery tending standard factory solar, a heated enclosed underbelly, no carpet to worry about anywhere, and a bunch of other handy little things. It's the devil's in the details, really, on this one right here, and I think you'll see that as we go through it today. Now, without question, over here on the camp side of the RV, the true MVP of this equation is that big one-touch easy power awning. We have no slides on the camp side of this RV, and it just gives you maximum space to set up shop. So whether you're enjoying your own little picnic station on here, if you've got the bag toss game going on, or just another big picnic table, whatever the case may be, you have lots of room here. Now you might notice the little table we have out on display. This is actually something that we include with our Go Play campers here like this one, because not every campsite gives you a picnic table by default, and sometimes the public picnic tables, man, you don't want to know what's been on those things, and sometimes you don't want to find out. But to make traveling with that a little bit easier, up in your extra large front pass-through compartment, which first of all, you see it's huge. Secondly, we give you the big access door on both sides. But finally, we give you a dedicated slot to transport that picnic table so you don't have to give up any of your precious cargo space. Now, in terms of the RV's various systems and mechanicals and utilities, what are we looking at here? This guy right here, this is your water heater. This is also gas and electric. Some people prefer tankless on demand. Some prefer gas and electric. We can only choose one, like the Highlander, basically. But what this is going to give us right here is when you're in the park, you don't have to burn your propane. You can use the park power that's provided to keep the water warm all the time, so when you open that hot water tap, it's just ready to go. But if you are boondock off-grid dry camping, whatever you want to call it, you can use the propane side to always make sure you take a nice comfy warm shower. The cool thing about this, it's a fast recharge model. What that means is you can activate the gas and electric sides at the same time if you're going to take a couple back-to-back big showers. That way nobody has to take that chilly shower, you know. This down here is your furnace. One of the things that we really wanted on this was an external mounted furnace. That's why you can see it right here and not just the furnace exhaust. The reason this is important is because we are very service conscious and service minded at Bish's RV, and this can be easily removed, diagnosed, worked on, and or replaced without needing to tear apart your cabinetry. Also, our Go Play campers tend to have these little basic docking centers right here. It gives you a spot to hook up like your cable TV if you have a campsite that has that. This is also where you have your city water connection, and this little blue valve right here, that will actually change your city water connection to be your fresh tank fill. So maybe you're in a park right now and then you're going to be traveling for a little bit. It's just an easy way to put some water in your tank without a whole separate hookup. You also do have a black tank flush back here to make sure you really get that sucker rinsed out before you hit the road. And of course, for easy, quick cleanups, you do have a hot and cold outside utility shower, the hose, the sprayer head, everything. That's all included with your Go Play camper. Now up front, power tongue jack. Lots of RVs have these, but we wanted to make sure ours was definitely one of them because not every camper does. Cool thing here is when you are getting hitched up to your vehicle, it's just a lot quicker and easier than doing this for 10 minutes straight. And then finally, up top on your camper, you'll find our Go Play RVs are outfitted with a 200-watt factory solar package, absolutely standard. The cool thing about this is it keeps your batteries tended up when the RV's in storage. That's really its primary purpose on this camper. It will give you some extended use and some extended battery life if you are boondock, off-grid kind of dry camping. But for the most part, what this will do is keep your battery charged up so that when the RV's in storage, you don't accidentally end up with a dead battery. So when you go to hit that power tongue jack or open the awning or open the slide or whatever the case may be, it's going to be charged up, it's going to be ready for you. That will also eliminate a lot of what you perceive to be problems with the camper. One of the things that we have is our RV fix service, and we have found that about 40% of perceived electrical issues are just a low battery, so we wanted to eliminate that for you. One of the things we hear from customers all the time when they first step foot in this model is just how big and open it feels. And I think it's because, one, we have this big deep slide over here with the extra large dinette, so you get to see all this open space, and there's window coverage all over back here. But also the light bright contemporary color palette, it just really opens up the space and it makes it feel so open and airy. But also having the big sofa in the back, there's just a ton of space back here, and it never feels tight, it never feels claustrophobic. But even when you flip around the other direction, you get to see and experience the whole space of the RV from the seating, because it has this kind of walk-through central corridor. Even though you have a very privatized bedroom, it doesn't really feel like you've taken the floor plan and chopped it up. Like, have you ever seen a big house where somebody just chopped it up and gave it a bunch of really small rooms? This one just has that really open, grand feel about it. Now, the living experience in this model is just very comfortable, very spacious, and very relaxing. I think because of the taller ceiling that you have in here, and just being surrounded by windows back here on the sofa, it's just very subdued. Like, whether you're going to sit here and watch TV, maybe just scroll a little bit on your phone, or just read a book and kind of enjoy some of the great outdoors, the panoramic views that you get with this giant rear picture window, they're really hard to match in so many other RVs. And along the same lines, over here at this big dinette that's all in this nice deep rack and pinion slide out, you also have another big picture window over here, so no matter where you're sitting, you have big, awesome outside views. You have a couple decent views of the campsite of your RV, which is really great. If a neighbor knocks on the door, you can kind of see what's going on. And no matter where you're sitting, if you choose to add a TV to the camper, you have a perfect view of it, especially if you choose to add a swing arm on that TV. You can make it pivot directly toward the seating area you're in. But one of the greatest assets of this floor plan is that it is a couples camper that is extremely guest friendly. Now, one of the things that makes this RV look and feel so big is that we took the largest appliance in the RV, the big 10 cubic foot 12 volt compressor fridge, and we shoved that basically into the slide out and got it off the floor. And that frees up so much extra space here. But I do want to make special mention of the fact that this is a 10 cubic foot variety of fridge and freezer. It's about 20% bigger than what some other brands are going to right now. Now, there are other builders using this as well. This is not exclusive to us, but there's a lot of companies that don't tell you their fridge is a little bit smaller. As we go through the rest of the kitchen here, I want to make quick mention of the fact that this is pocket screwed lumber core cabinetry. Basically, that means the cabinets are not made out of beaver puke that is held together by staples in your imagination, is the simplest way that I can say it. But you notice the generally clean look. Even though this is a more budget sensitive, budget friendly trailer, still the nicer magnet holdbacks, the hidden hinges. And one of the things that works really well on this RV is due to the fact that it does have the more home style stick built construction. It allows us to place power solutions, power outlets basically, way down at the countertop level instead of being about 2 feet away under the overhead cabinets. Now, we did a lot of asking of our existing RV owners, and we said, you know, what things were missing from the Go Play kitchen? And something we heard time and time again is something to cover the sink. So we came up with some options here. And again, these are things you can find in a lot of other campers, but usually for a little bit more money. The cutting board style sink cover right here and the rollaway dish drying rack, they give you so much more functional prep space, but also giving you the secondary functions of being the dish drying rack and being a cutting board. And just in case you were curious, that is a sprayer faucet, so if you need to pull that down to really get right in the pots and pans, you can. And with the bigger farm sink, you have the perfect spot to do something like that. Now, this is another really key detail when you start comparing a lot of other brands out there. We have the residential style microwave, the 3-burner stovetop, and a lot of campers have that. But we have maintained a propane oven here where a lot of brands have not. So if you're boondocking, you maintain an extra cooking solution. Not to mention the fact that, you know, I know my friends south of the Mason-Dixon line, cookies and biscuits are getting cooked in that every morning and every afternoon, and they never seem to save any for me, you know what I mean? The other thing here is, so far you haven't really seen a dedicated pantry, but that actually kind of starts under the entertainment area of the camper. Now, moving forward from the bathroom into the bedroom, we've now gone through 2 full hard partition walls, and that makes this area very quiet, very private, which is really, really nice because once again, you do have all that guest sleeping capacity back in the living room area. So it's nice that you can have that separation, but at night, no matter who's in the RV, if you need to get to the bathroom, it's in the middle and nobody has to open a door to directly look at everybody else. It's just one of those nice little features, you know? Or if you're like my household, my wife just gets up earlier than I do. She can go back and have her coffee and maybe kick on the TV, and I'm up here where it's still pretty quiet, so it's not bad. Now, if you choose to, you do have your TV hookups up here in the corner. This wall, being a full sliding privacy wall, we weren't able to offer a direct view entertainment option, but there are all kinds of articulating swing arm mounts where you can pretty much manufacture that after the fact. Again, we've added the little drop-down clips and hooks where they made intelligent sense, just to have an extra spot to hang a jacket or you know, any little details there. Now, based on so much customer feedback, we have now started outfitting these with a 60 by 80 inch true queen bed. Previously, they had a short camp queen. What's nice, you can now just slot in any residential queen that you prefer. You can get easy sheets to replace this. It's just more of what you expect, you know? Now remember, this is an RV that is made for that more casual weekend, extended weekend kind of camping. So the bedroom storage, I think, is just enough to get you comfortably through a situation like that. It is also very symmetrical, which I like. I would say it's more like mine and yours storage, but in my household, it's more like hers and hers storage, but everyone has a little bit different adventure. You've got your hanging wardrobe towers on both sides of the bed. Then above the bed, not only do we have the you know, the full open pocket right here, we've actually included the totes for you, especially once you get them loaded down. They don't tend to slide around and bounce around too much because there is this handy little lip right here to really keep everything contained. Beside the bed, you have these wide open kind of power stands where you've got household outlets on both sides of the bed, and you notice how much room there is here. That's a symptom of this being a little bit taller RV. You can kind of, again, see the headroom that I have going on here. There's no crazy camera tricks going on with this currently. This is all real view. So if you want a small little standing fan or anything like that, a little, I don't know, humidifier, depending on what you're looking for, you can do all kinds of things in these spaces. But where this gets really interesting is what happens below the bed. First of all, there's just a couple gas struts to make lifting this very simple and easy. You'll see down below the dresser stands, there's actually a little collapsible laundry hamper that you can, you know, move around the RV, grab stuff as you want. Nothing says you have to have it there. You could always use it like a pet bed. Then the two dresser stands themselves. You have 4 dresser drawers in this bedroom, 2 on each side, and the best part about that is if you wake up and you want to get dressed, you don't have to lift the bed and tell everybody else to get off the bed because they're sleeping too. You can just open the drawers, grab your stuff, and head on back. Because this model has 2 big guest sleepers right here. That's one of the really cool aspects of it, is that it's a couple's rig, but we've run into some couples where maybe one of you has sleep apnea or a snoring challenge, something like that, and you want some separate sleeping spaces, but you don't want a bunkhouse. Or maybe once a year you have some grandkids with you. Or maybe sometimes you have some adult friends, a couple that comes with you, or their kids or something like that. This is a model that can give you a lot of extra larger person sleeping capacity without being a bunkhouse. Now, I'm not trying to overpromise and underdeliver things to you here. Like, I'm a little bit over 6 foot tall. If I flat laid down across this thing, my feet would hang off the bed a little bit. I'm sitting up right now, so that's not exactly the case. So that's not necessarily ideal, but for a quick weekend and occasional guest, usually you can get by with something like this. And just like that sofa, the dinette here can fold down to a pretty large sleeping space. I would say you're probably more likely to get 2 larger people on the sofa versus 2 larger people here. This would probably be good for one bigger kid and maybe, you know, like guest mom and dad over there, maybe the kid over here, something like that. But there's really no rules. It's just kind of what works for you and how you fit everybody in here. So sliding back from the living room through the walk-through bathroom on this one, the walk-through bathroom is what gives this floor plan the ability to stay a little bit shorter, but actually give you a much larger and more spacious bathroom. We were pretty careful though. We know that when people are sort of in the living room, they don't necessarily want to view straight at the toilet like you have right now with me on here. But I also wanted to make sure you get to see that even a big American-sized person has plenty of room to do what they need to do in this bathroom space. Now, if you follow me over here, we're gonna step into, frankly, a pretty large shower space. That's another benefit of a walk-through middle bathroom. It creates more space on the wall for a larger shower. Once again, a bigger guy like me has a little more elbow room. And with our taller ceiling, you can see that I don't have any headroom challenges in here. But what you also see is it gave us a whole big chunk of space for a lot of extra linens. And did you notice that we also have included a bunch of handy towel hooks over here on the wall? That way, when you get out of the shower, you actually have a place to let those dry. And that's one of those things that you take for granted. You just sort of assume that being there for maybe your household experience. But if you go cross comparing a lot of RV brands, you find that a lot of them, frankly, I don't know where you put the towel most of the time. And just like the shower space over here where you're washing your hands, you need a place to put a hand towel. So we came up with a couple solutions there for you. Also, there is, again, no shortage of storage space in this floor plan. You can see you got that big double vanity medicine cabinet. That's what I call Lipitorage Storage Galorge. And a huge chunk of counter space above, wide open storage below. This floor plan, frankly, has more dry space and linen storage in it than a lot of luxury fifth wheels you find out there for far more money. Now, this is one of our larger Go Play campers, and with all the segmentation and privatization of the different cabins and the different rooms, we had to make sure you're going to stay comfortable in this. That's why we have this outfitted with a 15,000 BTU Coleman Mach central air unit. Now, one of the other things about this is that it does run a little bit quieter than some of the air conditioner systems out there. And I'm not going to tell you this is the quietest air conditioner on the market. Again, I'm not trying to oversell and underdeliver, but it is quieter than many. And you also have the option of basically decentralizing the air conditioner by flipping open these fins right here. One of the other crucial details is that we did outfit this RV with a 15,000 BTU air conditioner, as compared to a more standard 13,500 BTU variety. That can get you up to an additional 10 degrees of cooling capacity in this RV. And if it's 100 degrees outside, that's a very significant difference between being comfortable and being very irritated. And then for that spring and fall kind of camping, of course, the RV has a propane furnace in it, but you'd be amazed how many people still ask that question, so we want you to know. This is actually your furnace air intake right here. Again, your furnace is kind of hidden under the kitchen sink on this model, and this floor plan does still maintain floor ducted centralized heating. One of the reasons that we decided to go with that right here is because it's actually the most effective, efficient heating system in the RV, and with the cubic foot of space that we have in here and all the separate privatized rooms, it was just the best way to make sure you could stay comfortable. And then again, if you are camping in that shoulder season, the underbelly of the RV, it actually is enclosed, and it does have a forced air heat line coming directly off that furnace.